Most crypto projects live entirely online. Sweat is different. It's a platform that turns your steps into currency, rewarding movement with real value. Today on Token for Your Thoughts, we're joined by Oleg Fomenko, co-founder and CEO of Sweat, the company behind Sweatcoin and the broader movement economy. With millions of users already earning as they move, Oleg's goal is big: make physical activity part of the financial system. Oleg, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. This is such an interesting concept. I'm really excited to get into this with you today. But first, it would be great if you can take us back a little bit and share your story with us, what you were doing before Sweat and what got you into crypto.
Yeah, I think I'll start halfway and then go forward and then tell a prior story. I first time looked at Bitcoin in 2011, and it was my very good school friend who brought it into a meeting, and he just, have you heard of that? Have you seen that? And he is a techie, and he basically started immediately talking about mining and how it all worked, and it was really, really fascinating. So I got home, downloaded white paper, downloaded few books, well, books. They were basically booklets. Somebody compiled, a little bit of thinking. There were no actually books published in 2011, but I got completely fascinated by the technology. And I think for me, because my background is psychology and sociology of management, and so behavioral science, what fascinated me is, in my experience until that moment, every technology always strives to deal with absolutely every eventuality and sort of edge cases, and you need to make sure that everything is functioning perfectly always. Here there was a mix of technology and psychology, because straight from the very beginning it was saying this is working if you have less than 50% of nefarious actors, and this is immediately kind of brings society and technology together. That was kind of my point of fascination. Unfortunately, it took us some time to actually internalize and really figure out how to build in Web3. But in 2014, we created a company, Sweatcoin, and as name would suggest, we wanted to be on blockchain back then. We
Mhm.
spent some time forking Bitcoin, but it was too slow, too cumbersome, no smart contracts. So we decided, kind of this is not a tech that can actually give us scale for the future.
Mhm.
We've spoken to Vitalik Buterin in early 2015 about his project. It wasn't called Ethereum back then, but it was way too early. And we decided to launch centralized and then jump onto blockchain as soon as more blockchains are getting launched, because Vitalik was working on it. There were rumors of more projects left, right, and center working on the faster blockchains. So we thought, you know what? Our mission is to make the world physically active by turning your movement into value. We can start with centralized points, and as soon as we can move them onto blockchain, we will. Little did we know that the proposition, it pays to walk, would be so popular. And we very quickly got to million, then to 10 million users. And blockchain tech was really lagging behind with transactions throughput and just a, kind of ability to offer mass market propositions. It
Mhm.
took 8 years for us to finally find a chain that we would be able to build on, that would be able to support our scale. We looked at 14 different chains, analyzed their tech, spoken to founding teams, and we've chosen Near, and we launched Sweat and Sweat Wallet, which is a non-custodial mobile application, the easiest wallet for somebody who wants to dabble with crypto and literally walk into crypto. We even using this
Love that.
line because
Great.
typically when we were doing research in 21, 22, priming for entry into Web3, we were concerned that some people would be having some concerns with crypto. And, we realized that nobody had any concerns. Everyone was extremely curious, but there were three things that was stopping people from getting into Web3. First, most of the product that they heard about are not really applicable to them, or not, kind of they didn't see a reason to engage with them, like derivatives trading, or, kind of some derivative of derivative and swaps. People don't do that in their daily life. And,
Hmm.
why would they go into this whole new, very exciting industry, but do something that they have kind of no interest or no inclination or no time for? So they wanted different products. The second barrier was user experience. Those people that decided to install wallets, then they reported back to us, oh my God, I opened it, it gave me 24 words, but there was a big red warning saying that, oh, don't take a screenshot, don't write it down, kind of scribble it with a nail on a piece of metal, split it into two halves, keep it in different geographical locations. People are like, no,
Gosh.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious. This is just too heavy.
Hmm.
And the third, those that mastered those 24 words, then they said, okay, I open a wallet and there are zeros there. And in order for me to start learning or being able to do anything, I need to pull my credit card out and frequently buy hundreds of dollars worth of crypto in order to start learning the ropes. And people are very nervous because if you are crypto curious, not a degen, not crypto native, then mass media constantly frightens you. This bridge is ranked of
Hmm.
600 million, that bridge, this contract exploited, and people are very nervous. They think that they'll lose their money. So good
Yeah.
products, good UX, and don't ask people to pull card as the first step. And we kind of went, we have a fantastic proposition here. We pay you to walk. We tokenize your physical activity and turn it into a liquid asset. We know that people are gagging for it. We by then had 120 million users on Sweatcoin application.
Wow.
Second, we know how to build amazing applications. Even before Sweatcoin, I was working with mobile for 8 years in digital music and had a business that
Ah.
was mobile first kind of music business in the UK. It was called Bloom FM. So I have a lot of experience specifically with mobile and with mobile applications. So we knew that we would have an edge because we understand not the crypto native user, but we understand the next billion people who are gagging to come into Web3. We can give them great products, we can give them great application. And because our proposition is the app is free. Everyone's got legs. All you have to do is just, sweat a bit. And then all of a sudden you can earn your cents, dollars. You can understand how to send, receive, stake, bridge, and do all of those things.
Hmm.
But in kind of in real situation on real blockchain using real crypto assets. 95% of our users report that the first ever crypto asset they own is Sweat, our token that is traded on 30 different exchanges. So
Wow.
they come in, they learn the ropes, and then when they're confident, all of a sudden they are comfortable to pull their card and start playing with more tokens, more chains, and become crypto natives. So we're really
Hmm.
helping people in a very easy, simple, intuitive fashion to literally
Hmm.
walk into crypto. This is
Amazing.
the latest piece. Before that, before 2014, I mentioned,
Hmm.
I had a business in mobile music. And, it was an amazing and very, very fascinating experience that taught me an awful lot. And before that, I was actually working for large corporations because the the bee of being an entrepreneur caught me quite late. I was born in Soviet Union, and in Soviet Union, the word for entrepreneur back in those days had this kind of connotation that sooner or later, if you're successful, you're going to end up in jail. And, that wasn't
Hmm.
something that I would even remotely consider. So to be honest, going into in that direction wasn't something that enticed me. But
Hmm.
when I was living in the UK, I became a British citizen, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, actually, entrepreneurship is not about taking risks with your freedom, but building stuff that really bugs you, solving problems that haven't been solved. I immediately jumped into it and started my own business. So yeah, I've been living all over Europe and, quite well traveled. And, kind of we're an international company with people scattered across, I think, 20 countries now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Amazing. That's a great story. And yeah, it's really interesting to hear you talk about the barriers to people getting onboarded into crypto. That's something we hear a lot is, how do we
yeah.
get adoption? How what does that look like? When is it going to happen? A lot of people you hear that a lot, projects. We're going to onboard the next, million, billion people into Web3. But I
Oh, I
think the way
can
you
talk
just
about it for forever. And not
Mhm.
not to be cocky, but I do have answers. They're not necessarily easy answers for everyone to swallow, but they are clearly and definitively the answers that will get us there. But
Mhm.
I presume that we'll delve into it a little bit later.
Mhm. But yeah, it makes sense. The concept is simple for people to understand. Everyone has legs. If you move around, you can earn, and there's incentive there. It's not a huge learning curve that people have to
Yeah,
understand immediately. Like it's a concept that would be, widely understood. And then I think, like you said about then you have some crypto to work with. You're not asking people to get out their credit card, which a lot of people could be wary of. So it solves those big problems initially. So
exactly.
yeah, it's a great solution for that. And you've been in music before, and so what made you decide to tackle the problem of getting people moving
Physical
or
activity.
encouraging? Yeah, like what made you choose that when you were thinking about doing a project in the crypto space?
I mean, it's a deeply personal story. I mean, I've always been athletic, and I was a competitive runner when I was a teenager, and just I love being active. I love being in a good shape, and in uh, middle noughts, I guess, kind of 2006 to 2009, I've done some really, really crazy mountains in the world.
Oh,
We've
really?
decided with my brother to do 7 summits, and we've done four. But in addition, we've done some other very, very high peaks around the world, and
Oh,
that
wow.
definitely requires a lot of fitness. And I was fit as a fiddle. And,
Hmm.
I had a startup, I had very young children, and unfortunately, my previous startup, the music business, perished in very, bizarre consequences. Geopolitics were involved. I don't want to go there. But
Hmm.
I went for a run to clear my head because it was extremely stressful time. And I couldn't
Hmm.
really do 5K at the pace that I was expecting myself to do. And I just started thinking, wow, you know what? This sucks. We lose fitness so quickly if stress, a lot of work, young children crying at night, kind of really, really takes toll. And I started
Hmm.
thinking, why I'm not more active? Why can't I allocate more time? Kind of what's going on? And I started talking to my co-founders and people around, and I realized it is a universal problem. Absolutely everyone wants to be more active, regardless if
Yep.
you're training for a marathon. You would want to, put in one more kind of training day into your schedule, or if you are, kind of complete slob and never move, you still think that actually, you know what, I should be in a better shape. I'll live longer. I'll be happier. So
Hmm.
when you encounter a problem so universal that everyone wants to be more active, but everyone cites different reason, time, money, motivation. In the UK, you would hear frequently, oh, this horizontal rain. You kind of wake up in the morning, you open windows, and you kind of go, I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah.
This is just a step too far. But
Hmm.
if everyone has a problem and everyone uses different excuses or reasons, then, kind of my education taught me that you actually need to dig deeper. There is probably something, kind of basic, that sits underneath it. And we realized that the reason why nobody is as active as they want to be is because nature doesn't want you to be active. Nature didn't build you to be active. Nature built you and optimized you for survival, which means preservation of calories as opposed to
Ah.
spending them on what nature might perceive as a useless activity. Think about Neanderthals. They would sit around the fire and they would only run if there is a mammoth on the horizon because that's food. You need to kill it because otherwise the tribe will die. Or there is a saber-toothed tiger is about to make a meal out of you, then you run.
Right.
Otherwise, we would sit and preserve those calories because that increased chances of survival. And
Hmm.
that's how we program. That's nature, effectively software that it put into us. And there is even a
Hmm.
name for this phenomenon. It's called present bias. So we're focusing
Huh.
on either seeking, pleasure right now or avoiding pain right now. And there is only one solution to this, behavioral bug. Well, it was feature that guaranteed our survival. Right now, it's probably more of a bug, given the fact that calories are in abundance.
Yeah.
Um, Instant gratification. So we thought, okay, so if we offered instant gratification for physical activity, then it would really help people to step over this sort of nature barrier that forces you almost inadvertently, subconsciously to sit rather than, kind of be fit and exercise. And what's the easiest reward or instant gratification that you can communicate? Of course, financial, but who would pay? Everyone knows intuitively that your movement has value. That's a very powerful thing. But if you start paying for it, then you need to get money from somewhere. And as a
Hmm.
startup at that moment, I was alone with my co-founder on the phone and we were just sort of trying to structure everything. We
Hmm.
realized that we had to create our own money, and that's how idea of Sweatcoin and building on blockchain and effectively tokenizing physical activity and turning it into a liquid, valuable asset was born. We also borrowed a playbook from attention economy. I mean, we all know right now attention economy, Google, Facebook, it's $7 trillion industry.
Hmm.
25 years ago, if you asked somebody how valuable is attention, people would go like, what do you mean? Like, can you explain? Well, I mean, we know that attention is valuable. People are spending marketing budgets, but how valuable is human attention of one individual? Nobody could answer that question. Now we
Hmm.
have an answer down to 18th decimal with the help of Google and Facebook. And we realize that physical activity and paying attention are almost identical. Every human has it, and it's a benefit for human. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this ability. It is
Hmm.
also an asset that others are prepared to pay for. So advertisers are happy to pay for your attention. And if you think about insurers, healthcare providers, employers, ultimately governments, they're very, very keen on you being physically active, and they're putting quite a lot of money into making you more physically active because you're healthier, you are economically active for longer, you are happier, you're more productive, kind of wherever you look, kind of the positive economic impact is there. And
Hmm.
if attention is such a valuable asset that around it we managed to create $7 trillion economy, our question was, you know, the economy around physical activity and health would be even bigger than attention economy. And we decided to start a business which would track, verify, and tokenize your physical activity and make it valuable for you. And as I said, we started in 2014. We were centralized for quite a long time because blockchain tech wasn't fast enough and robust enough. But right now
Hmm.
we're through. And we have 20 million, more than 20 million token holders, and we have close to 3 million active users in Sweat Wallet. And we know that we are not just making movement valuable, we're actually making the world more physically active. More than 20% more activity per day after people install our applications than they were before.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, because thinking about it, you mentioned instant gratification. I think that's tricky if we all know that more movement, and I've seen some incredible stats just around like walking, what walking can do if
Mm.
you know hit certain steps. But it's all sort of, about your long-term health, and that can be hard in the moment. It's not like if you do these steps, you're going to get, something right then and there at the end of the day, like you'll notice this, or, you'll instantly lose 5 pounds. So it can be hard when the benefits are so long term. And I guess that's really interesting to know too, that we are programmed to maybe not want to move. That's
Mm.
refreshing to hear, not just lazy. So we're up against that
Yeah.
too.
Don't blame
Um,
yourself, blame nature.
yeah, this is great. I love it. But the incentive part is really interesting, of not only getting having incentives with Sweat and the coins through
Mhm.
that, but then also getting other wider industries involved, like insurers or governments, and just positioning it as
And
a commodity
healthcare,
that can
we
be.
have a contract
Yeah,
with NHS in the
absolutely.
UK where we're helping people who are diagnosed with
Mhm.
diabetes or pre-diabetes condition to become more physically active. And if before adherence to these programs was less than 30%, then with our involvement, it is close to 90. So, it
Oh my
definitely
gosh.
changes people's lives and is able to, kind of have a significant impact on one's longevity, health,
Mhm.
well-being.
Yeah, that is incredible. 90%. And I've never thought of it as something you compare it to attention. How much is attention worth, and how that is a real thing now that people pay a lot of money for, and everyone's vying for it. So it's interesting to think of movement that way, and that it can benefit. It's amazing. Obviously, it gets the actual person moving, and it's great for health, but the more incentives that are there, and you have bigger organizations getting involved and also wanting to encourage it, it just means that, I guess, yeah, the even more incentives and more players involved. So that's really interesting, positioning it like that. I'd never thought about that before. And yeah, there'll be obviously it will benefit a lot of people.
And it
So,
already does. It
okay.
already
Hmm.
does make people more active and allows them
Hmm.
to walk into crypto. I think that a
Hmm.
lot of our community kind of talk about becoming healthier and wealthier because normally in kind of our lives, we think that if we want to become more physically active, it is about spending, kind of getting a gym membership,
Hmm.
buying a sports kit, sorry, hiring a trainer, or just spending time, which could be spent on something else. And, the reality is, if you're physically active, it's not just you who benefits, and it's not just your family who benefits, but, there are a lot of companies and entities that are deriving economic value from you becoming physically active. And as you said, if we turned attention into such a massive asset class effectively and created a whole industry around it, then it's just a matter of
Hmm.
time before we do the same with physical activity. And
Hmm.
our belief is by tokenizing and making it decentralized, we're not just making it democratic and accessible to all, we're also preventing creation of a new class of big tech. Because if you think about it,
Hmm.
attention economy does not function extremely well for us. I give
Yeah.
my attention to Google. They sell it to the highest bidder for a maximum amount of value. They take all the money in their pocket, and all they give me is 2 gigs with my Gmail. That's not an economy. That's not an equitable distribution of
Hmm.
wealth that is created by me. It is,
Hmm.
I'm getting a tiny, tiny little fraction. And that's the reason why Facebook and Google are such massive businesses that basically have license to print money. If we want to
Hmm.
not repeat that mistake and not create movement economy in the liking of that and give Google, Facebook, or another big tech company an opportunity to take all of the value into their pocket and give us, nothing,
Hmm.
we can actually start in decentralized fashion, tokenize your physical activity and give this value to you as opposed to put it into our pocket. And because we're
Hmm.
DAO, and every big decision in our world are taken by token holders, it is a very, very democratic place. So,
Hmm.
kind of, we don't want to run movement economy. We want to give it a push and help it, kind of internalize itself in people's minds, because intuitively everyone knows that movement is valuable, same as attention 25 years ago. And now we have an answer to how valuable attention is. We don't have yet a very robust answer. What is the value of physical activity? And that's the bit that we're building. And because it's
Hmm.
financial asset and it is earned or reflects certain amount of steps, the value of sweat is effectively a market value of physical activity. Granted, we're still in very early days because it's only been 2 years as it is financial asset, but attention also, took a long time to get to where it is. And I believe that we are by far on more accelerated path. And we have a
Hmm.
lot more attractive product that is a lot easier to engage with and get value out of.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that it's really flipping the script on it because with attention, like he said, it's like who are the real who's really winning there because you give your attention a lot of people do say to like social media, and yes, you get some great cat videos or whatever it is, but you're giving a lot of your time and it's not always beneficial. I read recently that brain rot is officially a thing, like it adds like gray matter to the brain. I was like, oh gosh, because you hear
Wow.
that saying a lot, but it's like, wow, no, it's actually medically sort of proven now. And so that's obviously the detriment to people if you're spending too much time, giving your attention away to, especially to things like that. But the advertisers and the platforms are obviously making a ton of money off of it. Whereas fitness, obviously, if you're doing more fitness, you're absolutely benefiting from that. It's going to be more positive for your health. And I like in the other sense, flipping the script on not looking at it as, oh, I have to give up my time. I have to spend money on a membership or on a trainer or buy new gym clothes or whatever it is. Into something more positive. Like if I do this, I can, actually get a reward or benefit from
Earn,
it. And
you
there are
know.
more, yes, exactly. So I love that shift in perspective as well. So give us an overview then. So if someone, how does it work? Like what can someone expect if they sign up to Sweat?
Sure, would be very happy to. As I mentioned, we have two applications. Sweatcoin, which was supposed to be crypto, but it got so big and had so many users that, just simply shifting rails from one day to another would be just fundamentally wrong because people got
Mm-hmm.
used to, kind of certain apps, certain functionality. So this is a step tracker that tracks and verifies your steps. And if you can confirm that you genuinely sweated, because guess what? If you start paying people to walk, then a lot of people are trying to figure out how they can trick you. We had
I
people trying
bet.
to put phones on the dog and or on a dishwasher or on a
No.
metronome, drill, fans. I mean, there are like thousands and thousands of use cases that we had to deal with because, kind of, if
Oh
you're giving
gosh,
financial
yes.
value for physical activity, somebody will try to outsmart you. So we have
Mm-hmm.
really, really robust models that we trained on now, 250 million people around the world who used our applications, who submitted data. We know when it's real and when it's not. So, and then there is Sweat Wallet, and Sweat Wallet is the easiest and probably most intuitive wallet out there that allows you to manage Sweat and, collect it and do all of those things that you would do with a crypto token. But
Mm-hmm.
because Sweat is a crypto token, you can manage any other token in that wallet. And effectively, it is wallet that pays you. Right. Normally wallet, unless you put something into it, there is nothing in
Mm-hmm.
it. Here, there is a wallet that actually gives you health and wealth and teaches you first steps into the world of crypto. And right now, at this very moment, I'm testing an expansion of our wallet into 4 additional chains with a vision that our wallet will allow you to manage any token on any chain, interact with any dApp, and to be able to pay for all of this with your feet. Pay your fees with your feet.
Oh
I
my
know
gosh,
that nobody
amazing.
likes paying blockchain fees, but if you get your legs subsidizing them, that's a very, very good and very attractive proposition, not just for those that are thinking of walking into crypto, but for those that are already operating in crypto and paying fees through their nose.
Nice. Amazing. And who are you? Do you have any typical users or any surprising
Mhm.
use cases? I love the example of with the NHS and how you encouraged more movement, with them.
Yeah. It's it's a true story. When we launched Bitcoin in the US, we grew completely virally because the use case or the story that we picked up very quickly. Cool kid at school would come to school with a mobile phone with Sweatcoin installed, would show it to others at the break. They would also install it. They would come home and would go, Mom, you always wanted to be more active and go to a gym. Here's an app for you. Don't worry about sweat coins or now sweat. Send them to me.
Hmm.
I'll figure out what to do with it. And
Ah,
mom all of a sudden is happy because, kind of with teenagers, I've got teenagers to find an additional point of contact and regular conversation is already valuable. And especially if your teen is interested at breakfast to ask you how many steps you've done yesterday and potentially give you grief, like, Mom, this is not enough. You gotta work harder. It just works on so many different levels, and this whole virality really gave us an incredible access and incredible distribution without spending a penny on marketing. In terms of user
amazing.
groups, we in crypto, we have a very unusual profile because typically, if you look at crypto users, they would be overwhelmingly predominantly male. Our user base is more than 30% female. So, kind of we are building a product that is a lot more accessible and, kind of is accepted by people who probably don't want to be spending time reading all these technical journals and, figuring out how to do command line interface and spend all of
Right.
their days in front of the computer where crypto
Hmm.
natives live. And that's the reason why we focus on the mobile, because earlier we talked about how do we bring next billion people? Well, to me, the answer is very simple. Great products that actually have appeal to next billion people, as opposed to another
Hmm.
derivative exchange or another chain that we have coming out of our ears. Right now, there are more than 2,000 chains in existence. But if you look at the number
Right.
of big apps for end users, and we did a cutoff at 1,000 people, which is not an awful lot. I mean, 1,000 people, it's not a family business, or sorry, it's not a kind of me and my mates got together and are using something. 1,000 people means that there is something there,
Yeah.
and the count of these apps is less than 600. So if we're using an analogy of rails, we have more than 2,000 railway companies, but only 600 carriages to run on them. It's a complete upside down
Huh.
industry. We need
Yeah.
fewer rails and a lot more applications that are attractive for the next billion people. So good products, good UX, and really good experience that doesn't really force you to use credit card. There are two other things that probably will be very valuable to founders. The first one is build on a mobile, because not a lot of people in the world have laptop or desktop, and even if they do, they don't spend all of their time in front of it. But everyone's
Hmm.
got smartphone in their pocket, and they're using it a lot more often every day. So build on a
Yeah.
mobile if you want to attract next billion people. And the second thing is more subtle. Our industry for years and years has been obsessed with one success metric, TVL, total value locked. And that's how projects compare their success with each other. And I've seen it happening several times, that founder would want to build something for the next billion people, but their success metric would be TVL. They would start building, thinking of the next billion, but then they would very quickly realize, I can actually get this TVL by making 10 phone calls and attracting 10 whales from other protocols on other chains. They make
Huh.
these 10 calls, they are forced to build products that these whales are already using without too much innovation, because otherwise it would be very hard to, kind of for them to come and bring their liquidity. And therefore, your vision to build the product for the next billion people all of a sudden became into a product that is used by 10 people. And of course, next billion cannot use it because it is designed for a completely different person, high net worth individual that understands everything, that knows what
Yeah.
slippage is, finality, and all of those things that,
Hmm.
an average punter just doesn't want to know. And to be honest, it's not a
Yeah.
terribly useful information. So good products, good UX, really, really think of the user journey and give value to users rather than, try to extract value from them on the first step, and build on the mobile and think of active users as a success metric. Because if you have a lot of active users, real users, not bots, not, kind of
Yeah.
click farms, but real people, CVL will come too. If you have a good product and you're giving value to your users and solving genuine problem for them.
Hmm. Yeah, those are a lot of really great points and definitely useful information for other founders building out there.
Thank you.
So Sweat is leading one of the largest on-chain deployments of AI agents in Web3. Can you talk us a bit about that and what you're doing with the AI agent?
Yeah, no, we started dabbling with AI just shy of a year ago. And in a usual to us fashion, we are not launching into some humongous project that takes years. We kind of
Hmm.
talk to our users, asked a lot of questions. And one thing that was bugging people back then was the fact that they didn't know when model was hallucinating. And there was incredible value in giving them an opportunity to ask a question and get multiple models to give an answer so that they can see, kind of if the answers are consistent or there is any discrepancy, and then potentially pull them together into one aggregate answer.
Ah,
So that was something that we launched very, very quickly, and million people asked questions. And that was an incredible value for us because we understood what interested them, what they wanted to know about Sweat Wallet, Sweat, how it
ah.
worked, kind of
Hmm.
what is the value of Sweat, why is it valuable, why is physical activity valuable? All of those things that would be very hard to cover in a podcast like this, even if we were going for 3, 4, or 5 hours. But
Right.
because all of this stuff exists, we have white paper, we have countless blog posts, we have a lot of videos. We took all of that info and we trained our personal or super personal assistant. We now called her Mia, Movement in Action, that
Nice.
knows answers to all of these questions, regardless what vocabulary you use. So, kind of right now we're observing that people coming in and they're like, okay, I'm here. What now? What do you recommend me to do? And because Mia resides on your mobile, she can see your physical activity, your interaction with the
Ah,
app and with your device. And she also sees what other agents out there can see, which is blockchain activity. But combining the two, so everyone sees blockchain, and there are a lot of agents out there that try to give recommendations just on the basis of that. But because she's residing on your device, we can really give you, or she actually, because it's an entity, and sometimes when I ask a question, I don't know what's going to come out. It's not like pre-programmed answers,
hmm.
but she's got everything there to know about physical activity value, academic research around physical activity and how it impacts health, longevity, productivity, absenteeism, presenteeism, and sort of countless amount of academic research are also been used to train her. And she
Wow.
knows every nook and cranny of the app. So when new users are coming in, they're like, okay, I'm here. And normally they would just click around and randomly press buttons. They come
Hmm.
in and Mia will tell them, okay, yeah, welcome to Sweat Wallet. The first thing to do is X, Y, Z. And the more you use, the more activity Mia sees, the more
Hmm.
precise and timely recommendations she can give. And it's not just about text, because if it's on a mobile, we can also give you not URLs or links to click, but actually actions to perform. If I can, for example, ask me, I'd like to transfer to my colleague, X amount of sweat, and just presses the entry into an LLM, and she would prepare a transaction, and all I would need to do is just press one button. Or what's
Amazing.
new in Sweat Wallet since I last came, and she would be able to tell you, oh, there is this partnership with this project, there is a new quest, you have earned X amount of sweat for so many steps over the last couple of days. So there is, there is an interaction, but it is valuable because she is
Hmm.
designed to give you useful to you information. But she's designed to be your personal assistant, and we see that in the future,
Hmm.
maybe some of our users will give her even access to their keys and allow Mia to trade on their behalf. But at this moment, we actually put a really, really big Chinese wall because we want to first build confidence and understanding how everything works, and give that opportunity to those that would want to venture and potentially give their AI agent an autonomy to go and trade on their behalf, or I don't know, which markets and buy if something falls or sell if
Hmm.
something goes higher. But this is a roadmap that would be very, very easy to execute once we
Hmm.
have more confidence that these models are not hallucinating and all of a sudden not going crazy and deciding like, hey, I have this money. Why don't I just blow it on something? Because that would
Yes.
hurt our users.
Hmm.
And I guess their motivation to become healthier and wealthier. So at the moment,
Hmm.
we would, Mia would not be able to take any action until you press the button and confirm the transaction.
Okay. Wow, what a great use case. Because I bet that's an incredible way to onboard and retain users. Because a lot of
Exactly.
the time you see, like, we have all these videos that you can watch, but sometimes it can be, that's like an extra step. It takes more time. You have to find the right ones, or, or sometimes it's like, let's book a call and I can talk you through it. So having like real-time guidance and feedback, and then it being
Who
tailored
speaks any
to you
language
personally. That's
and
incredible.
doesn't
Yeah.
use jargon or lingo because
Hmm.
kind of if you go and you try to learn about blockchain, you would hear blocks, kind of block time and
Yes.
finality and
Yeah.
slippage and
Exactly.
kind of all these terms that kind of you need a vocabulary to understand. But you speak whatever language you're comfortable, you use whatever words that you're comfortable, and then you can ask a question, and she would be able to bring you information using your language and your vocabulary. So all of a sudden, you don't need FAQs. You don't need to get in touch with support. You don't need to troll through gazillion different videos. You just ask
Hmm.
questions. And you get very precise and concise answer that is designed to be useful for you right there, right then, on the basis of this plethora of information that no other agent would be able to see.
Yeah, that is so helpful and such a great asset, especially for the user. It seems like it's just a very user-focused platform. You've really thought about, making it easy for people to engage and get on board. And I guess it speaks to the massive growth that you've experienced. Is there anything, I know you said there is a lot to cover. We could spend a lot of time talking about this, but is there anything else you want to mention before we
Yeah.
wrap up? It's been amazing hearing about just how this is really flipping the script on a lot of things in terms of incentives and benefiting people's health and the partnerships that you've done and your growth. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah, I wanted to cover tokenomics because
Mm.
when people really dig into us as a project, they frequently ask this question, well, how is it possible that, kind of you pay to walk and the token has value?
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
actually, Sweat is quite unique in that respect because most tokens that you might own, they only have value because of utility, what you can use them for.
Hmm.
In case of Sweat, we also have this incredible thing that is very rare, which is you intuitively know that it is valuable because you sweated over it. So,
Yes.
our users save Sweat, preserve Sweat, and they put them in a grow jar. This is how we call our staking product, because for majority of people, staking is not a financial product. They don't understand this term, but they understand grow
Hmm.
jar very quickly. I was like, savings account, I put Sweat and it grows. Yeah, okay. All of a sudden, you don't need to have how-tos, FAQs, and instructions and onboarding. It's the name says it all.
Hmm. Yeah.
So they now are not selling Sweat because they feel that the value of their physical activity is far greater than what market pays for it. And they're happy to sit on it because guess what? They've sweated over it. They know it's valuable and they are
Hmm.
willing to explore and wait for the right price. But
Hmm.
that doesn't end there. Sweat has an incredible utility. Grow jars is just one thing. And in our world, these grow jars are not working like a normal staking protocol. They are also linked to your physical activity. The amount you earn is based on how active you are. If you walked 20,000 steps yesterday, you'll earn 20% APY or yield that day. If you walk 10,000 today, it's 10%. If you did not move single step, then it's going to be zero. So you
Oh,
are in
interesting.
control of your active income, which is really kind of engaging people further and communicating to them our mission. Then we have rewards. We have hundreds of thousands of people participating in this amazing rewards. We had several people who won Teslas,
Oh,
that we
wow.
delivered around the world. But most importantly, now with going multi-chain, we are turning Sweat into universal gas token. So you can walk enough to, for example, pay your fees on Near or Solana. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to go to other chains that have higher fees, then
Hmm.
you don't need to worry about gas tokens. Like in my case, I've got gas tokens scattered on 20 different chains, $10 here, $50 there. You don't need
Hmm.
to worry about all of that. You just generate Sweat either by walking, or if you don't have enough, for example, on Ethereum, then you can just buy one token instead of buying 20 different ones. So universal gas
Nice.
token and ability to walk into crypto and pay your fees with your feet is a very, very big and additional utility that our users are gagging for.
Amazing. I love that. Lot of even more incentives. And I love the concept of how the rate will change, that the amount
Yeah.
that you earn will change based on what your activity has been like. It just is a great way to keep momentum going. Just really fantastic. So it seems so well
And
thought
we've been
out.
deflationary since July last year. So I know
Hmm.
it's very, very difficult. It's like being profitable in the world of Web 2. So we
Hmm.
know how to build not just scaled businesses, but how to build a business
Hmm.
model that is making business profitable. We are not profitable yet as a Web3
Hmm.
business, but we are on track to achieve that within the next 12 to 24 months, which is kind of very, very exciting. Not many
Hmm.
projects in Web3 are thinking about revenue and profitability. We do because we've already been
Yeah.
busy 10 years. And we know
Hmm.
that building trillions of dollars or your physical activity into $1 trillion industry is not a trivial sort of 3 to 6 months feat. So, we
Right.
are building long
Exactly.
term and, we'll definitely get that.
Hmm. Wow, yeah, that's incredible and super exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I absolutely love this concept. It just seems like everyone benefits from it. It's a great way to onboard people into crypto. It's an amazing way to improve people's health, which not only benefits, us, but our families and society as a whole. So yeah, it's been wonderful hearing about Sweat, and it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. And I think it would be incredible if the movement economy could mirror where the attention economy is at, for sure.
Mm. We definitely need that. And if anybody's got
Yeah.
questions, you can find us on Twitter, X, Telegram, Discord, or just come to our website. It's Sweat with a dot before AT.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll definitely leave links to all of those in the show notes so people can find the info there as well. Yeah, thanks again, Oleg. It's been a really wonderful conversation.
It's been great to be here. Thank you very much, and hope to repeat it sometime in the future with some updates.
Oh, definitely. That would be great for sure. All right. Well, that's it for today's episode of Token for Your Thoughts. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to follow the podcast for more stories from the builders turning big ideas into real products in crypto, Web3, and AI. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Oleg.